everyone, welcome to Setu Gurukul. Today we plan on to discuss the solution to the problem that I had surfaced on my social media platform the previous day, which was about the ambiguity in defining what a trapezoid is. What I mentioned was a discussion on whether a trapezoid is a geometric figure, four-sided geometric figure with exactly one pair of parallel sides. Or is it a four-sided closed geometric figure with at least one pair of parallel sides? Now, in order to understand which one is correct or if both of them stand a chance, we feel it is very important that we discuss the historical origin and the historical perspective of it. Now, going by the etymology, trapezoids simply originate from the Greek word trapezoids, where trapeza is the literal conversion of the Greek word for table, and oids means shape it. This is typically how a Greek trapeza looked like, with two legs on one side, one leg on the other, and slightly slanting towards one end. Now, to put that into perspective of a geometric figure, this exactly what gave rise to the shape of a trapezoid. As you can see over here, we can consider these four vertices, A, B, C, and D. And this was the fundamental idea which led to the Euclidean definition of trapezoids. And interestingly, which has no strict mention about equality of sides or parallelism between sides. However, it is also interesting to note that as time progressed and different schools of thought came into being, a totally differentiable definition of trapezoids came up. The Eurasian school of thought talked of trapezoids as a geometric figure which has exactly one pair of parallel sides, a four-sided geometric figure again, while the later developed American school of thought preferred to refer trapezoids as a closed four-sided geometric figure with at least one pair of parallel sides. Now, the very point is to understand what caused this difference between the two schools of thought. Well, the relatively primitive school of thought, which was the Eurasian school of thought, focused more on distinctive definitions of objects or geometric figures. Now, what is distinctive definitions? To assign a different definition to every figure that came into being, that came into work. So, according to them, if this is a trapezium, this was a rectangle, this is a parallelogram, and this is a square, and none of it had to do anything with one another. However, the American school of thought introduced the idea of hierarchical inclusive definition, which was more organized. And what was the fact about it? That let us define trapezium in a way that it encompasses every other kind of quadrilaterals that may be there. Let us define the next kind, parallelogram, in a way such that it encompasses the definition of rectangles and squares, so on and so forth. So now what basically happens is that if you define a trapezium to have at least one pair of parallel sides, that leaves space for a trapezium to have both one pair of parallel side as well as two pairs of parallel side. Now, if you look at a trapezium with one pair of parallel sides, that is typically a trapezium that we know of. If you look at a trapezium with two pairs of parallel sides, that's a parallelogram, which we also know of, but in a different way. So the motive of the American school of thought was more to inculcate parallelograms as a subset, as a part of trapeziums. Rectangles were defined as parallelograms with right angles, right interior angles. Squares were defined as rectangles with equal sides, so on and so forth. So what happened in this hierarchical, inclusive definition of geometric figures is that this helped a further systemization. This helped to pass on the properties of the larger set onto the smaller set with certain more specifications in it. So now stands the point that how do we therefore define it? Should we go by the distinctive definition, the Eurasian school of thought, or should we go by the hierarchical inclusive definition, which is the American school of thought? Both are accepted with certain degree of demographical variations. Neither of them are wrong, but both of them are two perspectives of defining kind of the same, or if not the same, but the similar geometric figure. So we can actually happen to use both according to our convenience and according to the purpose that we want to serve. But what is also my personal opinion about the matter is that the more time proceeds, the more theories come up, the more information in any subject bulks in it. So, to keep a more inclusive definition with a smoother flow, in which one element relates to the other, can be a better way to systematize and to arrange the elements of a discipline. I'll leave the rest to an open discussion for you all, and I hope that was interesting as well as, you know, you get something to take away from this thing. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.